Welcome to Freedom Finders, where we use music, art, and history to tell stories about slavery in America. I'm Professor Jacory Arthur, and in this lesson, we are going to travel through time to talk about musical genres invented by Black Americans. All you need is your imagination. In an earlier lesson, we made a connection between spirituals on the plantation and hip hop that we use today, the most popular genre in this country. But what if I told you that spirituals really helped create other genres in America? What if I told you they helped create all of the genres in America? From country to blues to jazz to R&B, rock and roll, and of course hip hop. Let's see if you know your genres. Listen to clips of different sounds and tell me if you can figure out what genre they are. What genre do you think this is? That's right, it's jazz. What about this? Rock and roll. What about this? Yep, that was R&B. Yes, that was disco. All right, one more. You got it, rap or hip hop. All of these genres and more started on a plantation full of enslaved people working. They would sing these spirituals, and these spirituals, as we've already discussed, would reflect slavery's sorrow but give hope for tomorrow. Well, when slavery was abolished, it granted freedoms in so many ways, but especially culturally, where these formerly enslaved people could start to pick up instruments and practice freely and sing freely and do whatever they wanted to do to express themselves. So when someone like Robert Johnson picked up a guitar in the early 1900s and started to sing those spirituals on top of the chords that he would strum, it introduced the world to something known as blues. Music that is exactly what it sounds like, about singing sad songs to reflect a moment in time. Well, of course, this genre itself really opened up the door for so many other genres, like country, where we know the acoustic guitar is an incredibly important part to that genre. Or like jazz, where guitar was then joined with other instruments like clarinet and the trombone and percussion instruments, drums. And we didn't so much focus on the blues as itself anymore. We had all sorts of different sounds to play with. We had different life experiences to write about, to sing about, to perform about. Well, all of this music led us up to genres and eras that opened the door even more for recreational music making and listening. As we move out of blues and country and even the spirituals themselves, we start to notice that this music is really used for parties. This music is used in places outside of the church, places where the music was entertainment. And with that entertainment, added a whole new level of sounds. We started to hear the drums become more prominent. We started to hear electric instruments, like Sister Rosetta Tharpe, who took gospel music, or the spirituals that were sung on plantations, and added an electric guitar, creating a genre of music that we really don't associate with Black people as much today, which is rock and roll. It started with Sister Rosetta Tharpe, and now it is where it is today because of her innovation. Well, of course, this music itself took so many forms, from Sister Rosetta Tharpe to rock and roll of Prince, into the music of the Jackson 5, into the soul music that happened throughout the decades, Whitney Houston, all the way up to people like Beyonce today. But before we got there, we noticed a shift in the late 70s. In the late 70s, we noticed DJs like DJ Kool Herc in New York City start to manipulate the records that he would play. And he started to make some of those soul R&B records, those disco records, those funk records. He started to make them skip, and he started to make them loop and repeat. And he would repeat a section of the song known as the break. And when you repeat that break, which is really just a breakdown, maybe it's just bass and drums, or sometimes it's just the drums, he would repeat this break and have different people, whether it was himself or a friend from the neighborhood, a friend at the party, speak on top of that break. They would use it to get the crowd excited, hype the crowd up about the party, hype the crowd up about anything really, to make them feel good, to make them dance, to make them lively. Eventually, these words kind of got faster. These words had a rhythm to them. These words rhymed. And those words weren't just words anymore. They really became known as hip hop. And it wasn't just that moment with Kool Herc. It was kind of this journey to hip hop where you had people like James Brown, who really created the funk sound, who was speaking / singing, performing on his records in a way that people had never really heard before. You had people like Muhammad Ali in the 60s using poetry along with playing drums to create this sound that we know today as rap. So from spirituals to blues, to jazz, to country, to rock and roll, to soul and R&B, funk, disco, hip hop, the next time you listen to these genres, know that they started with slavery. They started on plantations. And know that when you listen to and when you think about American music, you're really thinking about Black music. If you visit our website, we'll have some more information about the history of these genres. Just visit ourwaterfront.org/freedom.